Hello, my name is Jeff Liebmann. I'm the consulting minister here at the Unitarian Universalist congregation of Smithton, Pennsylvania. And this is another of our series of online sermons provided for you who cannot be with us here on Sunday morning. The title of this sermon is Logic and Lawn Darts. Let me start with some opening words to light our chalice. These are by Adrian Rich, and it's reading number 463 in the back of our hymnal. My heart is moved by all that I cannot save. So much has been destroyed. I have to cast my lot with those who, age after age, perversely with no extraordinary power, reconstitute the world. Sometimes when I recall with romantic nostalgia my childhood, I wonder how we ever made it out of our formative years alive. My friends and I routinely played with toys that no company would consider manufacturing today. We romped on steel playgrounds, anchored into crushed stone yards, and we generally roamed the neighborhood unsupervised for hours at a time without fear of predators, abductors, molesters, or stray bullets. Enough accidents and tragic occurrences raised the safety consciousness of a generation of American parents, so that now we can hardly avoid warnings of the mayhem possible from even the most innocent-looking products. A few years ago, an online publication called Radar Magazine published a list of the most dangerous toys of all time. Obviously, one can hardly expect such a list to be terribly scientific, but apparently the choices were made according to the ability of these toys to kill, maim, or generally be hazardous to the well-being of children receiving them as gifts. I credit the authors with spanning the last few generations of ingenious toycraft, and I have no doubt that any of you will identify with at least one of these deliverers of destruction. In 10th place was the Fisher-Price Harley-Davidson Power Wheels motorcycle. The throttle of this motorized vehicle apparently got stuck in full acceleration mode on occasion, sending the rider on an uncontrolled journey toward collision. In 9th place were several 1979 Battlestar Galactica missile launchers, which propelled projectiles small enough to fit into unsuspecting throats. Now for the older children among us, we have our 8th place finisher, the Johnny Reb cannon. While people apparently had no problem with its glorification of the Confederacy upon its release in 1961, which was the centennial of the beginning of the Civil War, the Reb fired small, hard plastic cannonballs up to 35 feet. Apparently our toy makers didn't learn their lesson about small projectiles from one generation to another. At number 7, we have creepy crawlers. Of course, one could take one's pick here, from the Easy Bake Oven to my personal favorite from my childhood, the Vacuform. Nothing says safety like an open hot plate or exposed 100-watt light bulbs. Another toy for the older generation comes in at number 6, the Bat Masterson Derringer Belt Gun. Combined the cap-firing fun of a gun with a belt buckle. Number 5 brings us Sky Dancers, a toy of which I was blissfully ignorant before writing this sermon. Sold in the late 1990s, one apparently stuck their little fairy feet into a launcher, pulled a string, and sent the twirling toys into the air. We probably all remember those hideous, in my personal opinion, Cabbage Patch dolls. And number 4 brings us the 1996 Snack Time Kids doll, which apparently had no shutoff switch for its ravenous, munching jaws. At number 3, mini hammocks, from easy sales. Unfortunately, children found themselves emulating a chrysalis with no chance of emerging as a butterfly. My personal favorite chimes in at number 2. Gilbert, the company that gave us the infamous Erector set, in 1951 produced the U-238 Atomic Energy Lab. For a mere $49.50, the kit came complete with 4 actual samples of uranium-bearing ores, a Geiger counter, and a spin theroscope to see live radioactive disintegration. Lucky kids also received a comic book, Dagwood Splits the Atom, I kid you not, and a government manual titled Prospecting for Uranium. And now, drum roll please, the number 1 most dangerous toy of all time, lawn darts. Sort of a javelin version of horseshoes, my set was known as jarts. One lobbed the metal tip arrows underhand toward a plastic hoop lying on the grass. The large spear impaled itself, hopefully, into the dirt, scoring points for the thrower. Now, lest you think this survey unfairly castigates the dignity of some fine products, let's review the known findings of reputable analysts. According to the Consumer Product Safety Commission, Fisher-Price recalled more than 200,000 of the Power Wheels motorcycles in the year 2000 after receiving 9 reports of the foot pedal on these mechanized death traps sticking. One 3-year-old boy suffered cuts and bruises when his out-of-control bike ran into a home. Mattel offered a missile mail-in to replace the small red plastic bullets launched from the Battlestar Galactica toys. Even though the product met or exceeded all existing or proposed safety standards for the time, there were instances of accidental swallowing of missiles, including one reported death of a 4-year-old child. One can certainly imagine similar reports from the Johnny Reb canon, and danger from creepy crawler burns were probably only exceeded by the nauseating taste of the toxic chemicals comprising them. One product safety organization reportedly claimed that the Bat Masterson belt gun's caps can be, quote, ignited by friction and cause serious burns. I won't speculate what kind of friction they thought a 10-year-old boy would experience on his belt.